What's happening, everybody? Welcome to today's stream. I hope you're all doing good today. Looking in the chat, it looks like Dominic was here first, followed closely by Michael McEwen. So awesome, guys. Thanks for joining the fun early. And who else we got? We got Jim's here and Ricky. Kim's here. Richard, nice. Mutt Nuts, how's it going? And Eric, Gene, TBC. We got Steve's here. Alex is here. How's it going? And let's see here. Who else? I'm probably going to miss a couple of people. Anne's here. Just kind of scrolling along, checking it out, seeing who's in the chat. Might have missed. Connie's here. There's one. And Lance. Frank. Nice. Oh, and a few more. Ray and David and, wow, lots of people. Carrie, Chris, Michael Barr, what's up, man? Jake Thompson's here. What? Wow, it's a fun stream. So many people. So anyway, welcome to the stream, guys. So what we're going to do today is we're going to cast some dyed shavings. These are like green wood bowl shavings that Yak Branson, you guys know Yak, don't you? He sent to me a while ago, and I've had these for a while, and I thought, oh, you know, I think I'm going to pull some of these out and dye them up, and we're going to dunk them in a little bit of resin. Why not? Because it's fun. So last week we made some mini pine cone kind of Christmas themed blanks. And so I've already turned the other half of this guy and made a little Christmas ornament out of it. So I'm going to put a link in the chat there, and I need to go back and add this to the show notes. Here's the link to the Ornament Challenge information over at Turner's Warehouse. So again, for anybody that doesn't know what's going on with this, every year, I think for the last like 3 years now, Turner's Warehouse has hooked up with St. Jude and put on an ornament challenge. So it's a really fun one. You can just make it, you don't even have to turn it or do, you know, however you want to make an ornament, make one, and then you send it down to Phoenix, down to Turner's Warehouse. And what they're going to do is take a picture of it, they're going to put it in a gallery on Facebook, and then they're going to auction all of them off. And so it's really cool. So one thing to note, you're not going to get the ornament back, just to let everybody know, you're donating it to the cause. But there are prizes up for grabs. If last year was any indication of how this year is going to go, there were some really good prizes. I mean, there was like lathes being given away. So there's a few different categories that you can enter into. I know like there's like just a wooden one. There's like a mixed material type deal or a hybrid. I think there's another one that's, I think just resin or like an acrylic type thing. There's a kids category. There's like a beginners category. So there's like tons of different categories that you can enter. And I think you can enter one ornament per category. So it's pretty cool. And so you're up for prizes in each one of those if you win. And then last year they had so many prizes that at the end they were just drawing names. So even if you don't, win your category, you still might win a prize if there's enough prizes. So, and actually, speaking of prizes, I need to get my prize box. I'm sponsoring some prizes this year. I'm gonna do like a box of blanks kind of thing. So I should probably make some blanks up for that soon here. So that's pretty cool. And I know, Easy Wood Tools is in. Last year, Record Power donated. That's where the lathes came from. So I'm not sure if they're doing it again this year or not, but if they are, there might be lathes up for grabs or at least some good turning tools and stuff. I'm sure that Turner's Warehouse will probably throw in some stuff, and all kinds of other makers throw in stuff. So it's going to be pretty cool. This year it's a little bit early, obviously. It's September, like the middle of September. But last year they found that it took quite a while to get everything kind of like tabulated and tallied and do all the auction stuff, so they wanted to move it up. So this year the due date, which means you need to get your ornament, it literally needs to be in their hands by October 15th. So about a month from now, maybe. But I would recommend if you possibly can get it done as soon as possible, that's better for them because they got to take pictures of all these things and they got to get the listings up, and there's a lot of work that they have to do. So if you can help them out down at Turner's Warehouse, anything you can do to get it in a little sooner than that will help them out. So pretty cool stuff. So I made my ornament. I'm not going to share it yet because I did a video, so we'll wait for that. But did a little mini pine cone Christmas colors, red, white, and green. I'm pretty excited about that green. I was a little bit on the fence about, I just wasn't sure if I liked it for Christmas colors, but I'll tell you what, guys, that green rocks. I really like that green. So here's the pen blanks that we made. We made a batch of those as well. I'm going to be putting these Christmas colored pen blanks up probably in October on my website. I just wanted to kind of get a batch, we were making some anyway, and I wanted to test out these colors to see if I like them, and I love them. And I'm really happy with how the red came out. If you remember, I added a little bit of red dye, and man, it really rocked it. It's there, see there, look at that red. Oh yeah. And the white is exactly what I thought it was, that shied, why do they name them this stupid names? This one from Eye Candy, it's basically white, like a micro pearl from other brands. So very good one, and I'm very happy with it. It worked really well, just as good as any of the other ones that I've used. So pretty cool. Like I said, it's kind of a teaser. These aren't. I'm going to wait a little bit. It's a little early to be like, putting up Christmas blanks. I think October, that'll be good. That way people can kind of get things made on time for the holidays and all that kind of stuff. So be looking for those if you're interested in a mini pine cone blank. I'll probably, I don't know, it's going to be kind of a limited run thing. I'm going to make plenty though, and I'll probably restock for a little bit. But like once Christmas hits, then they're going to be done. I'm just going to make them for the holiday seasons. So anyway, the green, good question, is emerald green from Eye Candy. I don't know if this is gonna, yeah, there we go. It is a good one. I've made, holiday themed things, red, white, and green in the past, and I don't know if it's just me, but I always end up getting kind of too dark, and this one's much lighter. I mean, you can, let me switch cameras here again. Kind of show you. I opened it up and I was kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of minty. I just wasn't sure looking at it when we added it. But it's actually better to go lighter, I think, when you're doing this, because what ends up happening is if you go with a kind of a dark green, it just kind of disappears in the blanks. That's what I've found in the past. It's very underwhelming a lot of times if you use too dark of a green. So this one worked really well, and I don't know, it's a good color, so I was pretty happy with it. Yeah, nice. Let's see here. So let me scroll up. I might have missed something here. Nice. Alex is going to do one. Yeah, actually, the junior category last year, it was really fun seeing. I mean, there were some really good ornaments last year in the junior category. People were knocking it out of the park. So it's really fun because at the end they do like they do the winner list and all that kind of stuff live, and it's really fun seeing like all the different ornaments and things and the winners that, who won and all that stuff. And throughout the whole thing, these are listed on Facebook in like a photo gallery, and then you just put your bids under whichever one you want in like the comments for the specific photo. And so it was really kind of cool, you can just kind of see what's going on. You can see the bidding going on. I think they have it open for like a week or two or something like that. It's a really fun challenge type thing. And all the proceeds go to St. Jude. So that just to make sure everybody knows. Actually, so I was talking about they moved it up because of they had a lot of stuff to do. Now I remember what the problem was. The problem was the way everything like worked out time-wise, by the time the auctions were over, then they have to box up each one of these ornaments and send them. That was the reason that they moved it all up, because that took forever. I think there was probably like over 100 ornaments, which they got to box and ship. So if you can get it in early, it'll definitely help them out a little bit. Let's see. Oh, the thing moved on me. Doug's here. What's up, man? Just make sure I'm not missing any questions. So the Apple event happened yesterday, and I was I kind of didn't. I figured that they weren't going to be releasing computers. They usually do phones in September, but I was a little tiny bit disappointed. I'm hoping that they come out with computers, new Mac Minis, and see what their laptops are, some kind of a new laptop, because I need to get both of those. But anyway, it should be kind of fun. Let's see, do the ornaments have, they don't have to, you can make whatever you want for the ornaments. It doesn't have to be anything specific. There are categories, and so, you would need to make, there's like hybrid categories. So if you made something out of metal, let me look at this real quick. I can probably just answer this. The classes are junior, beginner, acrylic, wood, hybrid. Oh, there is a metal class ornament. Okay, must be 50% metal. I didn't know about that. I think they added that this year. There's even hollow form. Hollow form is another one. So there's lots of different things. So you're good. And like I said, you don't have to turn it or do anything. You can make it out of whatever you want. It's pretty sweet. Apple made, yeah, I don't know. Like the camera, so I get a new phone every year. I'm in that program. So I was actually, the new cameras on the Max phone are fabulous. And actually all of them. It was an okay event, but I wasn't too excited about the watch. I was on the fence. If they came out with something really cool on the watch, I might upgrade that, but nah. So I'm hoping that I think there should be an event in October, and that's when I'm hoping that they come out with some of the computers. So anyway, all right. So let's. Here's what we got. Here's the plan. Let me get these Christmas blanks out of the way, and we will get rolling here. And I've made for let's see. There's a couple people here. I can't exactly remember who it was that signed up for those mystery box, the testing group. I know that I think there was. What do we have in here? At least 2 people are in there. Was Jim? Oh, I can't even remember at this point. Sorry. But anyway, if you're in there's 3 people that are doing the testing for the mystery box things. I'm making headway. I actually was trying to work on the new website, and everything crashed. And so I think I'm actually going to have that ready to start actually probably pretty soon, within a week or so. I just need to configure a couple other things on the site, and then we'll get that going. So I just wanted to let you guys know that real quick. But I'll let you know in email when everything's ready for that. Let's see, Carrie's asking where you, I'll just put another link. If you're talking about the Turner's Warehouse thing, which I'm guessing that's the link. So there's a little entry form there, and then you fill that out and then send it down to Turner's Warehouse. Alex is gonna, nice. I can't wait to see what you make. That's cool. Alex is gonna he wants to win the junior category Halloween jack-o'-lantern. Yeah, that'd be cool. Oh, we're working on Gene was one of them. We're working on, I'm going to be doing mystery box blank things, but I needed some testing people, because this is the kind of thing that you set up on your website and you make this big production out of it and get all these people to order, but it's like a brand new app thing that you had to install on the website. And I just know that everything's going to go haywire. So I wanted to just limit it to a few people, make sure that everything worked the way that I expect it to. And then once we have everything, rolling and all that stuff, then I'll launch everything. So it'll be coming soon down the road. And Peter was asking, do I do resin tables? I don't really. The biggest thing that I've done is this shelf. I don't know if you can see. Yeah, you can see it. Just the problem is I have to. The main part of my business is making and selling, pen blanks and stuff, turning blanks, smaller things, and so I'd have to it would take over my entire shop to make one, and I don't need to make any for any reason. So someday I will for myself probably, but I don't sell them or anything like that. What was I going to do? I was going to do this. So what we're going to do today is, I'm talking a lot about upcoming things, and let's just get to casting. So we're going to make a batch of pen blanks, of course, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a couple of handle size blanks with a little bit of wood, some burl. Ow, that's hot. How hot is my oven? Jeez. oven just gets out of control. I need to hook up. So I have this little fridge behind me. I don't know. You can't see it. It's not the right camera, of course. I have this little freezer doohickey, and it's got one of these, it's like a temperature controller unit on it to keep it, it's not freezing. It's just, I'm using it like to refrigerate resins and cactus juice and all that kind of stuff. Things that don't really want to be hot in the summer. And I'm going to take my watch off. And I think I'm going to need to get one of those things for my oven because it just will not work. It keeps on messing up. So we got 2 of those handle blanks. We're going to do those 2 at like 2 at once, basically. And I think I'm going to be using, because what I've found at this point, let me show you this one. I thought these were going to be stuck in there. Wrong camera. All right, so on burl chunks that are like smooth like that, I always run into issues if I use Alumilite clear for that kind of thing. It always gives you that shiny effect, which means that I don't even know what that means, honestly. I have no clue what really causes it. I'm going to get an example to show you what the deal is. So this was a burl that we kind of painted a little bit, and you can see it's all white in there, and that's like, it's like a separation layer. It's like it didn't bond with that wood. And so I don't know if that's like a moisture issue, if it's just, it didn't, grab onto the wood or what. But at this point, I don't know what causes it. I don't know how to get rid of it. The only thing that I do know you can do to get rid of it is if you scuff it up, if it's got like something to kind of grab into. But smooth surfaces, Alumilite clear really just doesn't like it very much. So what I do now is just use epoxy because that stuff works every single time. Amazing Clear Cast, I don't know if every epoxy is going to be like that, but at least Amazing Clear Cast, Liquid Diamonds usually does. So pretty much most of the epoxies that I've used seem to work fine. So that's what I use from now on doing, if it's like a smooth piece like that. If there's a little bit of texture to the wood, then it doesn't matter. Alumilite clear works fine. But I'm just sick of ruining blanks, getting that kind of shiny thing going on. I mean, you could turn it still, I guess, but I don't, that's not what I wanted. So Richard with the $10. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Super chat. Air pockets. Well, I think we're gonna not get air pockets. One thing that I'm gonna do is we're not gonna totally stuff it full. So if you don't do that, that'll help, number one. And the other thing is I'll probably push it down a little bit in. Well, maybe. I think the key is you just don't want to shove tons and tons of stuff and make it really difficult for the resin to kind of flow around there. I think if you do that, it should be okay. All right, so let's see here. Resin in the fridge. Yeah, so as long as, the reason I don't put all of my resin in this thing, I use one resin that it's a 2-minute working time. So it's just in the summer when it's, 90 degrees in here, I can't even get stuff done with it. It's setting up so fast that it doesn't work. So I refrigerate that. That's one, and that's just, that's one thing you can do if you have a resin that's setting up, the temperature's kind of high in your shop. If you refrigerate it, and I'm only keeping it at like 55 degrees or so. It's not like I'm like, making it freezing or something like that. Just a little bit lower to make sure that it starts out at a lower temperature, mix it up, and then, everything works a little better. The other thing is there's 2 other things I put in there. One of them is cactus juice, and that's stabilizing, wood stabilizing resin. That stuff can literally just cure on its own in temperatures above 80. So you got to refrigerate that in the summer. I don't want to leave it out. And then the third thing is like CA glues and some of my dyes and different stuff that it's just going to kind of extend the shelf life type thing. That's the other thing that I leave in there, along with my lunch. No, I'm just kidding. No. Shrinkage. Yeah. I don't think it's shrinkage, actually. There's not enough, it's stabilized wood, number one. So the wood's not shrinking, and the resin, alumilite, urethane resins shrink the least out of all resins, less than epoxies. So I don't think it's shrinkage. It just has to do with, overall, urethanes they're not as sticky, I don't think, as epoxies in general. Now, if this was polyester resin, definitely. That stuff shrinks a ton, and so it would be a shrinkage issue. But it has to do with surface tension and just the stickiness, let's say. You really want to, scuff the surface up. As long as you scuff the surface up, it's fine. It works just fine. So shrinkage. Anyway, so we got pen blanks. We got a couple of handle blanks. Now, first thing, I made these things so that they would fit tight in these, but they don't. After the heat, things expanded. So we are going to have to glue them now. So we'll get the hot glue gun out first. We'll get those things glued down in there. And then I think we'll just work on the pen blanks first. Let those other things kind of think about what they've done. Switch to this view. You could warm up your shavings. My oven really just isn't big enough for that, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I always get people asking me if I spray, should I spray these things? And my answer is I just generally don't, because I don't want to get sprayed stuff. Well, two things. If you spray these things first and then try and glue these in, it ain't going to stick. So that's one problem. But the other issue is I just don't want to get that spray stuff on the surface of this, because that'll definitely cause an adhesion problem. Oh, this thing's not warm yet. Let the glue gun warm up. All right, so we'll just kind of stick those guys in there. So we're going to do pen blanks. And I don't know, does anybody have any preference on which color or a mix that we want to put in the mold over there? Any preferences? Stabilize wood curved? No, I was having issues with pine cones, and that's a totally different story. And that, again, that I don't know what it is, but it's not shrinkage. It's I don't know what that is. I haven't really figured it out. The only thing I can think of is even if you stabilize pine cones, they really just don't stabilize. You can't get them fully stabilized, and moisture can I don't know, somehow build up, because I heat them up, and I take every single precaution. I mean, you know me. I take every precaution possible on the planet so that I don't run into issues with castings like that, having to do with moisture or wood movement or any of that kind of stuff. I try to take as many precautions as possible. Get the resins totally equal, if it's a 1-to-1, all that kind of stuff, right? And the reason I do that is so that if I have a problem, I can diagnose the problem a lot easier and figure it out. This is just, those are the two things that I'm just, you throw your arms up and go, whatever, just go with epoxy. That's my recommendation. I have no clue what's going on. Same thing with the pine cones, and they're larger pine cones, not the mini ones. Those ones are fine. It's larger ones, and it has to do with if you cut them. Because it only happens mostly after you've cut the blanks up and cut into the pine cones. So it's the same idea as if you cut a piece of wood. For anybody that knows how wood movement works, if you took a rough piece of lumber and ran it through a planer 50 times and took off a bunch of material on one side, it's going to potato chip. And what that is it has to do with there's more moisture leaving that side that you planed than the bottom, and so it's going to warp. It's the same idea as that, but I can't understand why stabilized pine cones, and I've tried my own pine cone stabilizing methods, plus I've even sent it to a professional stabilizing company. Same thing. So I gave up on them. I do mini pine cones now. Frank with the 5 likes the orange. All right, let's do orange then. Should have probably asked Richard, I guess. Sorry, Richard. We'll do orange on the pen blanks, and then we'll kind of play around. Richard will be in on the color. So actually, let's do that. So Frank picked the orange orange shavings. What color do you want to see, Richard? Do you have any choices for the pen blanks that you want to see? We'll probably do. I mean, we could do like pen blanks are always interesting because you can do like with something like this, you could do like white or something like that, like or black, and then just see all the little crazy things in there with the orange shavings. Or you could go for slightly transparent and kind of have them poke through. You could put a bunch of colors in there, but that might kind of muddy the waters with the being able to really see the shavings. Oh, let's see here. Richard likes green. So you want green resin? Is that what you're saying, Richard? Is there any green that you like in particular? Any specific shades, or because we could do like a dye? We could do, because I got lime. This one just kind of popped out. I mean, we got lime green right here with the divine pigments, and then we got that emerald green from Eye Candy. That was a pretty good green. And we got all the Caster's Choice. We got the P-Town Subbies. We got what is it? Chardonnay or something like that? Kind of an off green. Chardonnay green from Wine Country. Kind of a lighter one. Looks kind of like Chardonnay, I guess. Ooh, Blurple, that's a good one. I like that. Richard wants white. Okay. Actually, that would be pretty sweet. Let's halt the super chats for now on the pen blanks. Let's do a mixture. I've never actually done this, and this is why I love you guys. Let's do stark white. So we'll actually do a dye with it, I think. Let's do white for like the majority of it, kind of. And then let's do Blurple with the orange. Oh man, that's gonna be some killer blanks right there, I think. What do you think? What do you think? We already picked the orange. Sorry, Richard. We picked the orange chips for the pen blanks. I'll let you double down. I'll give you some colors on the hybrids that we're gonna make. All right, so let's see here. I think we got our glue gun ready. Switch to the Canon overhead view. I'm super excited. We're going to be getting a new camera, guys. I finally gave up on dealing with manual focus and all that kind of stuff, or what? Not focus, but manual exposure level on this thing. So it's on automatic, and it's actually looking all right. It's relatively bright. The reason that I changed it was it just didn't seem very bright, and it also was kind of I don't know, the picture wasn't amazing, but you know what I actually think that is? I think that's because the computer, I actually don't have USB 3. I've realized recently. And so that's one of the reasons why I want to get a Mac Mini, a new computer basically for streaming, because I'm a little bit limited. Even if I bought a new camera, it would still suck because it's not, the USB ports are not fast enough on that computer. Because what ended up happening was one of them broke, like one of the pins inside on the motherboard. Jamie Page, what's up, man? Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it, brother. Jamie will be in on a color for the next one too. So if you didn't see, I went over and lightly sprayed the pen blank mold really quick with a little bit of stoner. And this is a case, you know, I've sprayed this and I'm going to put these shavings in. That's not a big deal. It's a little bit more of a big deal when I'm dealing with those handle size blanks. They're just more of a pain, you know, trying to stick things down in there and all that kind of stuff. So I usually don't spray them. Eventually, that doesn't work anymore, though. So I just want to let you guys know. If people say, oh, you know, aren't you supposed to spray that? And yes, you probably should to, one, extend the life of your mold. And eventually, if you keep not spraying them, and especially with epoxies, they're harder on molds. Eventually they're going to get kind of stuck in there, and you're going to have to pretty much make a new mold at that point, or every single time, you know, spray the heck out of it so that your resin doesn't totally stick in there. And that's really, I guess, technically, that's the same with even with silicone molds. Eventually, it's going to get to the point where they're just not really going to work. So one thing that I forgot to mention is, so I dyed these using cactus juice. All right, so that's how this happened, and these are super simple. All you got to do is take a handful. Well, they need to be dry. They really should be dry, probably, but you could even get away with slightly. I wouldn't like fresh turned green shavings. I wouldn't do that with. But you know, let them sit out for a little bit. You probably don't even necessarily need to dry them in an oven first, but all you do is get a big bucket, pour some cactus juice in there, and just shove these things in there. Then you're gonna take them out, you know, kind of drain your cactus juice, and all you're gonna do is just, I actually let them sit overnight and, you know, like have a kind of a, I'm just gonna have to show you guys because I can't even explain it, like a grated thing. A thing with a screen on it. I don't even know what you call this. I'm going to switch to the other view real quick because it's kind of big. I just makeshifted. It's a cardboard box with this screen thing and then like an absorbent pad down there. And so I'll just let them sit and kind of like drip dry overnight so that they're not like soaking wet. So then the next day you just shove them in the oven and you're good to go. You don't even need to deal with any vacuum or any of that stuff. The shavings are so thin that if you let them soak for, you know, an hour or two, whatever. I mean, you could go overnight if you want to make sure. They're just going to soak up, you know, that dye and you're good to go. So all you got to do is just shove them in the oven and you're done. That's it. And so it's just using that cactus juice with dye. But the beauty of this compared to like, you know, you could create an aniline dye or aniline, I don't know how you say that, but there's other types of dyes out there where the thing is, it's not going to lock it in place. That's the beauty of cactus juice. You know, you put it in the oven and it's curing that dye in place. It's not going to, you know, bleed or run out into the resin or anything like that. Once it's cured, for the most part, it's good to go, right? So it's a simple, easy process. Even if you don't want to get into stabilizing and messing around with all the, you know, vacuum chambers and pumps and all that kind of stuff, there is, you know, if you're into casting and you want to do something like this with like a really thin material, you can totally get away with just an oven and some cactus juice and you're good to go. You don't need to do that whole vacuum stage thing. So just to kind of let you know, Jake's molds don't, well, I mean, I can make it for the pen blanks, but the thing is, I want to do it this way because it's just easier for me to cut later, but I don't have silicone molds for the other ones, you know? So one of these days we'll pull out Jake's molds and use them. All right, so I think we got everything ready here. I'm going to toss this in the oven. It's fairly sparse. Now, one thing about this, the more that you put in there, the more are going to come out when, you know, like when you turn it. So, you know, this may not be super amazing when you turn it with the shavings. We'll have to kind of see how it all works out. But we're gonna get that in the oven. I'm gonna pull out my booklet. And pen died and it didn't seem like it was, I don't know guys, I think my pen might be totally dead. This is ridiculous. Because it was expensive. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. Well, that sucks. There's no reason to use that thing because it's not recording anything. Go get a good pen. A cool pen. Well, maybe this one will work. Forget who sent this in now. That's not my favorite ink. This one's a snake skin that I made. That out. Go with the snake skin. It's not super identifiable there. That's a little better. All right, so first off, the date is 9/15. We're doing dyed shavings. So number 1 is pen blanks. And so that mold holds about 540 grams. And then we're going to do 2 colors. We're going to do, let's see here, let's do like a 60% and a 40%, something like that. What are the numbers here? I'm going to go 165 and 110. And so that's only half. That's like the part A. Oh, we're using, okay, so we're using, no, this is pen blanks. We're going to be using Alumilite Clear Slow for the pen blanks. I prefer using that. It's just quicker and easier. So we're doing white. I'm going to do 2%, just the white dye, Alumilite dye. And this is the reason that I when I'm doing this in my book, and your methods may differ, but it's going to be, the important thing is your dye ratios. I use a lot of dye ratios for my team color blanks, so that's why I do this way mostly. And I'm factoring 2% is factored against only half the resin, okay? This gets really confusing, but if you were writing in your book, and so 165 times 2 is 330. If you were doing the full amount, A and B, if that's what you wrote down, then this number needs to be halved. You would only be putting 1% of that total. All right. It's just kind of a weird, odd thing, but 2% is only, that's factoring against only half the resin. All right. So the easier way for you guys, what I'm doing is the total amount that's going to end up in the cup is 330. And I'm putting 3 grams of resin in or so. All right, so that's going to be the white, and then the other one's going to be Blurple, which is my color shift powder, the blue to purple color shift. And that'll be fun. I like to add a drop of violet dye, like purple dye. And then, let's see here. So we got 110. Let's load this stuff up. Let's go with like 3/4 teaspoon. See how that looks of the Blurple. And this stuff's on my website. I don't call it Blurple, but it's the blue to purple color shift powder. I'll go get a link real quick for anybody that's dying to get some Blurple. Here we go. There it is. All right, so we got our notes ready to go. Let's get some cups out. Boom. And I'm going to get the work area camera rolling here too. You can see me down in the bottom. Hello. I'm a little bit disappointed that this pen is broken. Really weird. Piece of junk. All right, so put this guy on the scale, zero it out. Let's see what's going on in the chat really quick. Got a few new people in here. Daryl, how's it going? And Gab's here too. Peter's out of here. Thanks for joining the fun. What's Jake up to? What have you been doing, man? You've been busy doing all kinds of stuff. All right, so 162 of part A, 165, I should say. I'm pretty excited. This weekend, there's this thing called the air races, the Reno air races that happens usually every year as long as there's no pandemic. And so they're back, and it's planes racing in the air. It is the coolest thing ever. So we're going to the air races this weekend. That's one of my favorite events. It's like I think it's pretty much the only one like it in the world, as far as I know. There's like the Red Bull. There's Red Bull plane things, and people have like, there's a lot of like the military demonstrations at different like air shows. This is the only thing where they have an air show and there's all that kind of stuff, but there's like literally planes flying in circles. There's like a jets class, there's like biplanes and like mini tiny planes, and then The big one is they call it the Unlimited class, and these are like World War II era planes flying, racing each other. It's awesome. So I can't wait for that. So we're putting 3 grams of white dye in here. See on the camera. Maybe scoot this over a little bit. Oh, there it is. We got 1 gram, 2 grams. Finally, the fires are somewhat under control around us. Sort of, it seems like. It's been a little bit smokier the last few days, but we actually had like clear skies for like a week almost. Pretty much clear. I was like, whoa, the sky is blue. I didn't realize that's what it was. Clouds, I mean, literally one day we were like, whoa, white clouds, because it's just been brown like forever. The whole summer has just been brown skies. So I've been pretty excited. In a much better mood lately. It really gets on you, and it's just dark and smoky. You can't breathe. Setting up new cameras. What'd you get? What'd you get for cameras? I'm looking at the ZVE10. They just came out with that, Sony, and I've been looking at the A6400 for a long time, and that's what I was gonna get. That's what I rented one, and like I really liked it for streaming and all that, but because my computer's broken and I can't hook up anything with a USB 3, I gave up on the whole thing. All right, so and I'm actually doing this kind of backwards, I guess. I usually would add the part B, but so I've added the part A to that. I'm going to zero this out, 110. I was talking and not thinking. I usually recommend, if you're a beginner, I recommend adding the part A and the part B in your cups, and you can mix it all up at once too, and then dump off some. But it's much better, and if you don't have much experience casting, and you don't really know how long you need to stir, you can use visual cues. Like the resin will be all kind of hazy and nasty, and so I'll show you in this cup. The problem is you add a bunch of dye or powders or whatever, and you can't see in there. You have no clue what's going on necessarily, and so if you've been doing this a while, then you probably are good to go. You're all right. But if you're brand new at this, I recommend put the colors in later after it's been stirred up and you know that it's fully mixed. All right, so I'm going to zero that out. We're going to add our part B to this one right now. So we're actually going to be staying in Reno because we end up where these air races are happening. It's like north of Reno, which means like for the drive for us, it'd be like an hour and a half to get there. So we always just rent a hotel room. I'm going to add the part B to this cup as well, 165. So the reason I'm explaining this is probably not going to see pictures because I'm not going to be in the shop this weekend of these, so next week I'll get pictures up. Where are we at here? Yep. Okay. Before 165. Get there. Getting closer. I think my scale just screwed up. That was weird. Huh. I think I went over a lot. So I need to kind of do a little bit of adding part A here. The heck? I think my scale's off its rocker, guys. I don't know what's happening. I think we're okay. Okay, I'm going to turn it off and restart it because I don't know what just happened. All right, so if you look in this cup, it's all kind of hazy, right? And, you know, I stir it up. Still hazy, and there's little swirls of stuff going on in there. All right, but once this, and especially this is very much the case for Alumilite Clear Slow and just Alumilite Clear. Once you can't see any more wispy trails of stuff, you're good. I mean, it's fine. You're going to see some little air bubbles in there, but you don't want to be seeing wispy trails of stuff that are like hazy. So I usually give it a good swirl, you know, stir. And you want it, the stick needs to be on the bottom of the cup, scraping it the whole time. That also helps to keep things from spilling all over the place if you keep that stick on the bottom. And then I always, you know, you want to scrape the sides real good, because you can scrape off some part A or part B, and then you'll notice you're looking in the cup and then there's another wispy trail that you're like, oh, whoops, there's a hazy thing. So that's why it's much easier if you're just using, you know, for beginners, it's much easier for you to, you know, stir it up first, then add your dyes and stuff, okay? So we're going to add a drop of purple dye. Get that stick out of the way. One drip, that ought to do. Okay, and now, and I got dye on my fingers. Not good. Oh God, what's happening? Before I get this all over the place, I'm going to wipe that off. Okay. Dodged a bullet there, guys. Would have been terrible. Okay. Get that out of the way. And then we're going to put 3/4 teaspoons. 3/4 of the blurple, about. This doesn't have to be perfectly exact. It's not going to make much difference if you're scooping kind of big or a little bit smaller. I'd say if you're going to err on any side, I would put more powder in your spoon. You know what I mean? Just to make sure you got enough. But we're plenty. We got plenty. This is going to be loaded. Okay, I love the blurple. Blurple with purple dye in there. Oh, I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, guys. Look at that. Ooh, and it shifts from bluish to purple. These color shift powders work a lot better when there's a darker background behind it. So it'll be kind of interesting with the white, but I think it'll be plenty good, you know. And once you've added, you know, a bunch of the powder and then some purple dye as well, you should get some really wicked effects. But definitely works better when you have stuff like, you know, black or something next to it. It's similar to like the interference, the ghost powders and stuff, where, you know, that color is going to really pop more if it's got a darker background behind it. Okay, so we got some white, we got some purple. We're going to mix in our white here real quick. We didn't do that yet. That's actually another, you know, that brings up another good reason to, you know, realistically, I wouldn't necessarily know that I hadn't stirred this because it had dye in it, right? So it just really, you know, for most people, and I even do it, you know, I usually, unless I don't have enough time, you know, time's at a premium, and I don't think I'm going to get everything mixed and ready before it starts setting up. I mean, I always mix stuff clear too, still. It just, why not have a little bit of assurance, you know? Yeah. Yeah, I would recommend if you're going to try the blurple with black, just add a little bit, like sneak up on it, you know, just add like, I would actually even go with like a, you know, for like that size cup, 200 grams, I would use a toothpick with black and just add a little bit and then add some of the blurple and add, you know, you can always add more black dye to get, you know, if the effect is not what you want. it's not like dark enough or whatever. But I think if you went too much with too much of that black dye, if you just started dumping, you know, black dye in there, it may not work as well. It may overpower the blurple a little bit. So just kind of always sneak up. And the other thing, here's a good tip for anybody that's like, oh, I want to try that. It's always good to kind of go into it and be like, I'm going to experiment. Like, you're not like, I'm going to make the most amazing blanks and this is going to be the greatest idea. Because I find the hardest thing to do with resin casting is to have some idea, some perfect idea in your head, and then get it exactly to work out exactly how you plan. So if you go into, you know, all your castings like that with that mindset, you're going to be extremely disappointed. So if you go into it, especially when you're just kind of playing with stuff, go into it and say, look, it's an experiment. If it doesn't work the way that I'm hoping, fine, I'll try something else. You know, just wear the kind of patient hat. And, know that you're going to be, you're going to kind of waste resin in some cases, but just don't have that expectation that you're going to nail it every time, because you're probably not exactly the way you had it pictured. And the other thing is, if you go into it with that attitude where it's an experiment, then you'll be even more excited when interesting mistakes happen, let's say, happy accidents. Where you totally unintended, results, but it's cool, and you go, wow, that you'll like it even more when that happens. Like, and I find that's where some of the biggest breakthroughs have come for me, where you're like, wow, I would have never tried that, or thought that could work, kind of thing. So always go into it with an experiment type of mindset, and I think you'll be good to go. All right, so one thing to keep in mind, white is very heavy dye. So if you're trying to like mix colors and do all that kind of stuff, whites are going to just sink like a rock. And so there's a couple different ways to deal with that, but just know that that's going to be kind of the way that it works. All right, so let's check our numbers here. I'm going to start pouring this at probably like 110, 115. We're probably there, yeah. So that's 115 Fahrenheit. Another thing that you can look at, this is actually still pretty thin with the white. I think we're going to actually wait a little bit. Let's see what the viscosity is of this. That's getting a little thicker, but that white is pretty thin still. So I'm going to kind of wait just a second here and just kind of look at this. Okay. I think that ought to be good. I'm going to kind of pour some of this down in the bottom. We're just going to kind of add a little bit of each here and there. I hope this turns out cool. Again, so I have this idea in my head. I was all excited about it, and it may not look at all like I thought it was going to look. And I'm okay with that. That's fine, You got to just be fine with that. Oh, yeah, this is going to be pretty cool, I think. Wow. I mean, realistically, even if we didn't put shavings in this, I think this is a really wicked color combination. And we'll finish her off with a little bit of this white here. What do you guys think of that? Woo! I mean, I think that it doesn't actually even look as good as I think the middle is going to look. So I think that was a great one. Good job, guys. Good choices. Okay, we'll pop that in there. And I'm going to pressurize this. So for anybody that's kind of a newbie and doesn't really get what the deal is with pressure pots, what this does is it collapses air bubbles. That's all. It has nothing to do with how it cures or any of that kind of stuff. Like, it's not going to accelerate the curing. A lot of people think that sometimes. All it is doing is pressurizing, which means collapsing air bubbles. And so if you're doing things like this, especially if you're going to be sticking, you know, like those shavings and all that kind of stuff, putting a bunch of stuff in resin, like you really kind of just need pressure. I mean, there are ways to kind of get around it, but I just don't really, I think it's worth just investing in a pressure pot because it's much easier. It's a better way to go. It acts immediately. And so it's collapsing those air bubbles down. And then once the resin turns from a liquid and hardens fully, once it cures in there, turns to a solid, at that point, the air bubbles are just gone. So it's kind of a weird thing, but as far as I understand, and I'm not going to claim that I absolutely know for sure that this is what's going on, but this is the best explanation of what's like physically happening from like kind of a physics standpoint. And I got this actually from an engineer. He's not necessarily like a resin engineer or anything like that, but basically what happens is that transformation from a liquid to a solid, what's happening is it's in solution with the resin, those air bubbles. Because if, on the other hand, if I pressurize this, and then right now, if I took the pressure off, those air bubbles are just going to come right back. It's not like it's not like it pops them all and they're totally gone. It just collapses them down to microscopic levels. And so once that transformation happens from liquid to solid, they're effectively just gone at that point. They're microscopic and they're not ever coming back. They're in solution with that resin. And one of the reasons that I kind of think that this is exactly what's happening is because you're still going to get surface little bubbles and stuff. When I release this, if a bubble was kind of halfway on the surface, they tend to kind of pop on the surface of your casting. And so obviously they're not totally gone, right? But the thing is, it was halfway in the resin, and so on the top, you're going to get that stuff. So if you need the surface of your casting to be absolutely perfect, then you need to take steps to make sure that there are like pretty much no bubbles, very minimal at that point. Stir slowly, pour slowly, so that the top comes out, you know, bubble free. So just a couple little tips there that took me a while. And like I said, I still don't necessarily trust 100% that description of what's happening. Someday I would like to know. I would like somebody that I actually believe. They have credentials to tell me exactly what's happening in that pressure pot and that transformation. But I think that's probably the likely culprit right there. Zach here? I think it was I think it was just maple. If somebody was asking about that. Yeah, that blue color, I'm telling you. The blurple. Did somebody ask what wood it was? All right, so the next thing, we're going to do both of these at once. Okay, so I figure, so this time let's give, because I kind of screwed, I feel bad. I kind of screwed over Richard because he totally wanted a different thing on those pen blanks. So I'm going to leave it up to Richard. I'm thinking we should just do one that's green, one of these two, since we haven't done just a green. But I'm going to leave it up to you on the last one. Do you want to do a mixture or do you want to do another green or an orange? So I'll let you pick, and I'm talking about the shavings this time. All right. So let's load up one with green because I want to see what that looks like. Let's do this one. Yeah, let's do this one with green. It's a little bit smaller. So I'm going to shove these in. And then we got Jamie's up to bat. So Steve already picked the blurple. Jamie's up to bat for a color. Now this is where, you know, for these handle blanks where they're not pen blanks, where you're going to be, you know, drilling out the center and doing all these things and tubing it. this is great for doing like transparent type things, and so you'll really see the shavings on a handle blank if you do more on the transparent side of things. I think that's probably pretty good. I guess I got plenty of shavings in here. Sometimes I never know. I haven't done these for a little while now. They tend to kind of sink a little bit. Ooh, that was a nice curly one. Get a few more over here. Get that one going right there. A little bit more. There. I think that's good. So we got green. Let's see. I don't know if Richard's here. Oh, there's Yak. Maple. That's what I thought. Where do I get my casting molds? I make them usually, but if you want to get some really good molds that are HDPE and awesome, I'm going to recommend that you head over to Turner's Warehouse because they have a few different options for you. So especially if you don't have the tools or the know-how to make your own, then I would just recommend going and buying them from here. So I'm actually just going to link to the casting molds. They got silicone, they got HDPE, you know, anything you want in just about any size. So I'm just going to link. See here, may as well put my affiliate code in there too. Why not? We're doing it, you know. Okay, affiliate code, boom. So if you use that link, you are helping to support this show as well as Turner's Warehouse. So let's see here. So I don't, Richard might have left. Jamie wants gold. So I'm going to do the gold. That's a great color. Let's do the gold with the green. How about that? Is that kind of what you were thinking? And then let's see here. You know what? I'm going to ask Doug, Mr. Pole Barn himself, since Richard, I don't think Richard's here anymore. I'm going to ask Doug to choose. What do you want to do? Do you want to do green, orange, or green and orange on this other one? Since Doug does such a great job keeping you guys in order with his, what do they call it? What does the wrench mean? I can't even remember. What do you call that? Jamie does too when he's here. You got to watch out for Doug. He'll crack the whip on you if you're out of line. No more work. Nice. Oh yeah, Jake's got some molds too. Actually, yeah. Oh, Richard is here. Oh man, sorry, Doug. You got aced out. We're gonna do green again. Okay. So we'll load this guy up. Sorry, Doug. I think Richard was probably doing some work in the shop. There's a lot of people that do that. So Jake's selling some silicone molds. These things are wicked too. He's got a block style. And it's cool because it's on these little carriers, which makes it really easy to get into the pressure pot. So if you want a silicone mold, I think he's selling them now. Are they available? You got to tell me these things, man. And so he's got one of these with like different, you know, slots for single pen blanks too. So he's got a couple. We got to pull these guys out one of these streams. Got to plan ahead. And actually, so is I don't know where you get them. I'm guessing northsidecustomcrafts.com. Products. Oh, no products for sale this time. I don't know what's going on. Where's Jake at? Jake, let us know. If not, they're going to be coming soon for sure. Oh no, renovations. Yeah, those molds. Yeah, they're going to be a 5 gallon. Those are going to work with a 5 gallon, which the thing is at this point, I mean, I can't not recommend. I love my 2.5 gallon CA Technologies pots, but they're really expensive compared to other things. Like for the same price, you can get a 5 gallon. So for people that are just kind of, weekend warriors, I do this for a living, and and with the resin that I use for a lot of my pen blanks, the 2-minute working time, I don't have time to be messing with a 5 gallon pot for those. So 2.5 is really what I want to go with, right? But for most people, as long as you're not using a resin that's going to set up on you before you get it in there and all that, a 5 gallon pot is a good way to go. And the California Air Tools ones, as well as the TCP Globals that are literally ready to go out of the box. I mean, it's hard to argue with, if you're going to get a pressure pot, that's what I would recommend most people get. It just makes perfect sense. So, he's only doing word of mouth right now? I thought he was launched him. I think he left. He's probably messing with cameras right now. All right, super leaving. All right, Alex, have a good one, man. Okay, so we got our thing. Let's switch camera views. Let's load this up with the green. And what color? Let's go back to Richard, since I really kind of screwed him over on that first one. Richard, what color, and maybe Doug can pick a color too. So what color do you want to see with this? Do you want to do a transparent? We're going to be doing gold with the other ones. So gold and green. You want to see transparent? Do you want to see, what do you want to see? And then we'll figure out, and then Doug can maybe get in here, pick a color, do a little bit of an accent color in there. A message, there he is. Any recommendations for a 5-gallon vacuum? Not really. I recommend the Turntex ones generally. All the rest of them, the only thing I'll recommend is make sure to get a glass lid if you're going to be using it for stabilizing. Don't go with the plastic one, they crack and break. But I can't recommend one. I don't use them enough. And I don't really like the way they work for stabilizing most things. For silicone, you can go with pretty much anything and it'll work fine. So I'd say just go with the cheapest. And if it's only going to be used for silicone, you can use plastic lids on those. But for stabilizing, absolutely, you want a glass lid. And so at that point, just go with whatever. Richard wants silver. That's sweet. Silver and yellow. Nice. I don't know. Aluminum or stainless. I don't think it matters. They're both made out of metal. They're not gonna break, kind of thing. So I would again probably just go with cheapest. I don't know if anybody in the chat has any smarter things. I don't like I said, I don't really use them. I don't know what the difference really is going to be on that. I think both of them would be plenty strong, so I don't think that's the issue. I use Turntex chambers. I like them better. They're like a pipe. So depending on what you're doing though, because if you're trying to stabilize large things, then it's, the largest one that they sell is an 8-inch. It's like basically PVC pipe. And obviously you're not going to fit like a giant bowl blank in something like that. So in that case, yeah, you're going to have to go with the big pot style. But if all you're doing is like pen blanks and like, smaller chunks, I would recommend going with the 6-inch Turntex chamber. It's just fabulous. You can load everything up. You're going to save a little bit more on cactus juice as well because it's not this giant pot. It's easy to load up. They have little things that hold everything in place. Emptying the juice out, you just dump it and that thing holds all the wood in there. I really like the system a lot better personally. And it's what I've kind of used from the bat, off the bat. So I'm kind of biased in that sense. A lot of people use the big pot things, but I've tried them and I don't like them. They're just not as easy for what I do. And I can go get one. Let's see. Did we pick? We're doing silver and yellow, is that right? Yellow. Okay, so silver and yellow. Let's do, that'll be pretty sweet. Let's do some, I'm trying to think of what type of silver you go with. One of my favorites is, and actually I think this is fitting, we're going to go with Yakinum. So this is like way back in the day. This is OG streaming when I was on Twitch. So Yak would always pick platinum, and so I would always go with this one for him. So we just finally started calling this Yakinum. It was an inside joke, you know, kind of thing. So yeah, if you do larger things and you only want to buy one, then I would go with that. But like I said, I'm not very good at. To me, I don't see the difference in any of them. So just get like a glass lid, yeah. And Michael McEwen was talking about the hardware. You want the hardware on the lid, and whatever. I don't think it really makes any difference. You're probably not going to clean it much. You know, really, for stabilizing anyway. Yeah. So let's go with pewter. It's a good silver, and let's do. I'm thinking let's go with the Divine, whatever this one is, Sunny Yellow. Does that work for you, Doug? Or do you want a pearl? This one's pretty bright. But I got all kinds of yellows. I got Daisy Yellow, Canary Yellow. I got Sunrise Yellow, Neon Yellow. Do I have any yellows in eye candy? I don't think I do. I need to get more. Oh, I do have a... yeah, I got the Tampopo Yellow. What is the deal with their names? Tampopo Yellow? Seriously, guys? Hey, hand me the Tampopo Yellow. We got Bright Yellow from Wine Country. Not as bright as some other ones that I've seen. A little bit duller bright yellow. Anyway. Yakinum, there he is. All right, so Doug's like, just do whatever. Get on with it. See what's going on here. All right, so I got to think about what I'm doing here because we're going to be doing these both at once. So those things hold, let's see, there's two different sizes actually. One of them's like a 2" by 2" by 6 and a little bit, 6.5 maybe. The other one's like more of a 1 3/4 square by about 6.5, something like that. So we got wood in there as well though, okay? So this is where things get a little bit challenging, trying to figure out how much resin, but there's not a lot of wood. I just wanted a little bit on the end. That was kind of the idea, and then we'll do a lot of shavings. So we need gold. Let's see here. We got, I gotta be honest guys, you know what one of my favoriteest golds is lately? That new one from the yellow gold from Illumalite. Their polycolor, that's a pretty good one, although I hate these packages. Why anybody sells stuff, and I know that I sell the Blurple in baggies too, but yeah, I'm gonna put that back because it's basically the same exact thing as this, and this is my favorite gold. Later on down the road, I'm gonna fill this one once I run out. So just imagine this is the same exact thing because that's what it is. We're going gold with that. That was it, right? Gold. That'll make things a lot easier if that's all. I think so. Okay, so let's do a little bit of writing here. So number 2, there's going to be 2 of these. We're going to call this A. The first one's going to be that green shavings with gold. And so that mold holds that. That one's the 1 3/4. That one's probably going to hold about 350 grams. Let's just go with 3. Oh, I got to think about this. So this is going to be epoxy. I got to think about that. So, here's the problem, guys. We're going to get rid of the yellow. We're going to do a single color with these because I want to do epoxy, and for us to, what we'd have to do is wait 45 minutes for that stuff to get to the end of the working time to mix colors, I think. So let's just do one color. Sorry, Doug. You got screwed on two castings. I apologize. So we're going to do 1 gold and 1 pewter. That'll be kind of neat, and we'll just get the different look in there. So 300. So whatever. It's going to be, and an easy conversion. So we're using epoxy, which is a 1-to-1 by volume. Make sure, guys, that you know for sure, literally read the directions on the resin, you know, because this one, Alumilite Clear Slow, this is 1-to-1 by weight, and it has to be by weight. We're going to be using Amazing Clear Cast, which is also an Alumilite product. It's made by Alumilite, so people get all screwed up on these. This is 1-to-1 by volume, okay? By does it say? There's directions somewhere. Mix ratio, 1-to-1 by volume. Always read the label, because if you mix this by weight, it ain't going to work either. So make sure you know which one's which. There's a lot of products that seem and sound the same. But what I've found is, I typically think, because most of what I use is Alumilite Clear, which is by weight, so I think in weight a lot of times. But an easy way around it, and I just realized this, it's a pretty simple conversion to just, you know, I think in grams, so to just go to milliliters. It works perfect. Like it's pretty much like an exact, you know, 300 grams is pretty much the same, going to be the same amount as 300 milliliters. Pretty close. So that's what I've figured out. Works pretty nice. So that one's going to be 300, and we're going to go 150 times 2. We're using ACC Plus. This one was Slow Set Clear. And the mold is my 1.75 inch. Okay, and then we're going to add, let's see, because it doesn't really matter at this point, but we're going to add gold to that one. That was the one that was going to be gold. And we don't need a ton of dye, of powder in there. So 150, let's just put in like, let's see what a half teaspoon looks like. I think that's probably going to be enough. And this is a case where we could add just a tiny bit of this, add a little bit of gold, and still kind of have it make it transparent. So maybe we'll do that with the pewter, make it kind of a smoky kind of deal. Let's try that out, see if we can do that. So the other one's like about a 420 gram thing. I'm just going to mix up, I'm just going to mix up 400 because I'm not 100% sure. And then that's my 2-inch mold. That's the ACC Plus, and we're doing Yakinum. I will know what that means. And we're just gonna go with like, I'm gonna add like an 1/8 teaspoon and just see what happens. I think that's gonna be pretty thin. All right, so let's see here. We got plenty of time. This is the beauty of it. We're using 45-minute working time resin. Plenty of time, guys. All right. And one color, I highly recommend for newbies. It's so much easier just going with one color. If you're, you know, brand new to stuff, there's just so much less to deal with. Trying to mix colors and do all that kind of stuff, that's where it adds a level of difficulty that if you're just starting out, you know, you're gonna have to learn it sometime, but probably not a great idea to do it for your first one, you know. That's where I draw the line. Who was asking? Chris? Yeah, so I'll be putting those up in October sometime. It's kind of early right now, and I plan to make more, but I wanted to just kind of make those since we were making the handle. I figured let's make some pen blanks so you guys can kind of see that being done, you know, kind of thing. All right, so I always like to grab a marker and just try to figure out where am I at here. So does this even have PCP global things or silly? Liters. Yeah, okay. Liters, okay. So, or something. I don't know what that is. Ounces. I don't know if they have liters on this thing. Ugh. Okay. Get a cup that works. So we're going to go with 200 and 200. Again, this stuff is 1-to-1 by volume. All right, so we're going to go 200 liters is right there, and then 400 is the top. So 200 to part A, 200 to part B. On the other one, we're doing 150. So 150 and 300. And I just like to make, you know, little things so I know where I'm going for which thing. And another thing that's a smart idea. So this one, the bigger one's going to be pewter. Why not write pewter? Yakking them. All right. Something. Keep your notes going. So this one's gold. That way you don't mess up, you know. You don't want to mess up. Messing up sucks. All right. So I'm starting. It doesn't really matter which one you start with, but this is part B. I totally nailed that, I think. 150. Let me look at this. I like to get down at eye level with these things. Get the casting area. So what I was doing was getting down eye level with that line, and it looked perfect. And then this one, we're going 200 liters. It doesn't really matter how many. It just needs to be equal, you know, 1 to 1. But in this case, I am going for a specific amount. That's looking pretty good. So we got our part B. And this one, going to 300. One of the advantages to Amazing Clearcast Plus, the ACC Plus, it's got UV inhibitors in it, which work pretty well. I did a gear shift knob that has clear made with this stuff, and I don't think it's yellowed at all yet. Definitely doesn't look like it. And it's been in my truck sitting outside all summer. Pretty surprising. I guarantee I would have made the same thing with Alumilite Clear Slow. It would have been totally yellow. I'm going to have to try that to do a little experiment sometime, but we'll have to see. That's a pretty good choice. If you're doing clear things, should resist yellowing pretty well. Okay. Now this stuff's a little bit thick. It's on the thick side of things. Not so bad in the summer, not very fun in the winter. So just to warn you. And if your resin's super thick like that, what you can do is kind of like, if you warm it up, that's why I was saying in the summer it's okay. The warmer the resin starts out, the thinner the viscosity it's going to be. You can always heat it up and all that stuff. I usually take a little bit of extra time when I'm dealing with epoxies just to make sure that they're fully mixed together. Got a fly in here. Out of here. Especially resins that I don't really use, like, you know, on a daily basis kind of thing. Just to make sure. I'm not gonna just, you know, should be good once it's, you know, cleared up, like I was saying with the Alumilite Clear. But you know, I got a 45-minute working time here. I'm in no rush, so you may as well just give it a few more minutes of stirring, or at least, you know, give it an extra minute more than you thought. When you think it's good, give it 1 more minute or something like that, just to make sure. If you understir things, you can run into curing issues, and you don't want that. That's just a waste of time and money. Oh, does Bradley have vacuum chambers? Yeah, he's a great guy. Really good guy. So, yeah, Spirocraft's got lots of turning stuff too. All right, so that's looking pretty good to the eye. I'm going to put it aside. I'm going to come back and just kind of finish up on that one. Now, if you were trying to not have bubbles, if you don't have a pressure pot, you don't want to be stirring it like I just did, because there are a ton of bubbles in this at this point. And especially your thicker viscosity resins, they're going to, the stirring part, you're going to introduce a lot more bubbles and bigger bubbles. So if that's the case, if you're literally, no pressure pot and you're really trying to avoid bubbles, you're literally going to want to be stirring like this. Okay, it's tedious and tough, but that's what you're going to need to do to minimize those bubbles. And you're going to have to do that for a long time, probably like 5 minutes straight. Okay, that's why I like pressure. I'd rather just whip it and move on. Whip it good. There are still some circumstances where you really can't, even if you have a pressure pot, you still need to stir slow. Like I was saying, if the surface needs to be perfect, you still need to get rid of the bubbles because they'll kind of float up and stuff. But in most cases, I'd rather just use a pressure pot and not worry about it. And then the debate of vacuum versus pressure always comes up, and without going into the details, I tell people just use pressure for casting, use vacuum for stabilizing and silicone mold making. Most resins, it doesn't really work with vacuum. It's going to be a nightmare. So pressure pot. These thicker resins tire your hands out a little bit more. And you can use like electric drills and stuff like that. I usually find for smaller cups like this, that's just more of a mess, more work. What's up, Art? How's it going? Whew. That's probably mixed up pretty well, I'm thinking. I'll just give this a quick couple seconds on this one. Do that again for this one. And then we're going to move on. Okay, so this one's the Acronym, this one's the gold. So we are going to put a half teaspoon of gold and just a little bit. We're going to try maybe an 1/8 teaspoon and just see how that looks. So this is a 1/4 teaspoon measuring spoon. So we're going to put 1, 2. And for larger blanks, you don't necessarily need to load up a ton of powders. For like a handle, if you're going to turn a handle and the thing's going to be, 1.5 inches thick, you need less powder. You don't need as much powder, let's say, compared to like turning a pen blank, where you're going to turn it down to this tiny thin, there's only like an 1/8 inch of material left. And at that point, you need to just pack it full of powder to get a good, color. If you're doing larger, thicker blanks where it's not like a pen blank and super thin, or like a pendant or something, thin, where it's going to be down to like an 1/8 inch, whatever it looks like in the cup is going to be a pretty good indication of what you're going to get in, once it's cured and all that kind of stuff, turned. So that's plenty gold, not see-through at all. Everything's good to go. Okay, so we got our gold. Let's wipe our spoon off. And let's try the 1/8 teaspoon and just, I don't know. Now I'm kind of thinking we might need to go a little less. I do have a 1/16, I think. Try the 1/16 teaspoon of pewter. We're going for like a smoky kind of silver. Okay, so let's see what a 1/16 teaspoon looks like. Ooh, even that was a bit much. But I think it'll be a little bit transparent. Looks like a lot in the cup, but when you kind of pull some out, it thins out. So I think by the time you get done turning it, and in blank form, I think that it's going to be a thin enough amount in there to really be able to see those shavings a little bit better. That's what I was going for. Still might have been a little bit much. Probably could have gone with less. That's okay though. We're good. All right, so let me just, mic's working, okay. We got our resin ready. Now, if I was going to be mixing these colors, you got to wait till the end of the working time. Otherwise, they're just going to bleed together and settle out and look terrible. So in this case, this resin, the ACC Plus has like, I want to say a 40, does it say on the jug? 30 to 40 minute working time. So you'd have to wait till the end there. And I don't know what the specific, temperature and all that kind of good stuff is with this. I don't do color swirl stuff with that resin. I preserve that for transparent things and single colors usually. But I wanted to use the epoxy with that kind of smooth wood. So here we go. We got, this one's going to be the gold. This one's going to be the platinum. So I'm going to arrange these correctly so that I don't mess up. You guys can see somewhat well. I'm going to actually, whoa, sticky. I think I'm going to do it like this. Hopefully that's working. I wonder if I got a little bit of light, if that would help. Luckily we got plenty of working time, guys. Plenty-o. Let me see if adding a little light to the situation might help out. I switched my camera settings back to automatic, and it tends to not really be very bright. That's a little better, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully soon we're gonna get a new computer and a new camera, guys. That should be much better quality. All right, so platinum goes here. One of the nice things, so Doug was talking about, he got air bubbles when he tried with the shavings. Another thing that's nice about this, doing one color, is you can pour it when it's really thin viscosity. And so that can kind of help out. If you're waiting till the end of the working time, you kind of run into some issues. Because you're trying to swirl these colors, but waiting till the end means it's going to be a thicker resin. So that could end up causing you some air bubbles and stuff happening. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Might have overshot it a little on the resins. Here's the gold. Ooh, look at that. Got pretty good on this one. That's pretty close. Close estimate on that one. A little over, which I kind of thought that was going to happen on the other one. Do I have... I got a pipe here. We're going to put the excess in a... not that one, though. Yeah, we'll go with that one. I'm going to spray this pipe really quick and pop the excess in this PVC pipe here. Who knows? We could use it for something down the road. A little holder thing too for it. Whoa, totally missed almost. Dang, we're gonna get a full pen blank out of that. Rip. Okay, and I think we got a little bit more in here too. Pop that up. Slowly but surely, it's coming. Okay, that's the limit of my patience. I did good. All right, and then these guys just need to go in the pressure pot. And one thing I didn't mention is I take mine up to 70 psi. They're good. The max is 80 for these pressure pots, so no problems there. We're good to go. Never take your pressure pot above whatever the max psi is for that one. Unless you're into explosions and things. Okay, so look at that. We got all kinds of blanks today. There we have it. Let me just wipe these stir sticks off. I like to clean them up immediately. I don't like to have to wait and peel all this stuff off. It's just easier to wipe it while it's still liquid and move on. That way I can use it right away. Get these guys out of the right here. All right, let's head back to the intro view. So I'm just gonna wipe these guys off. I also like to just hit them with a little bit of acetone just to make sure everything's, just in case I missed a little bit of resin. I don't want, a lot of it has to do with dyes because, you know, a lot of times I'm working with, you know, dyed colors. And so I wouldn't want to leave a little bit of, you know, red dye perhaps or whatever on something and then go to make, you know, a blue pen blank and then mix it with that thing that's got red dye on it and end up with purple. That would not be fun. So I always just kind of clean everything off and I'm good to go. Get that out of the way. Let's see here. Is anybody got any questions today? See any right now? Take it easy, Ed. Have a good one. I'm trying to see what Lelia's. Yeah, my back's messed up too. I've been trying to fix my knees and my back for months. I think the problem is I've been and I'm you know I'm getting up there here and there with age, but I should be in better condition. I think the problem is I tend to like hunch and do weird things at home, and it's not good for your back. So I've been trying to correct all of my bad postures and things. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. So great choices on the colors again, and big thank you to everybody that super chatted. I always appreciate that. You know that that stuff's going towards that computer and the camera and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate that, and all the patrons as well. Your support is going to get us some better equipment, hopefully. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, that gold, I'm telling you, that gold is my favorite. I like it. So back in the day, when they stopped selling it, it was called Illumidust. That was the best gold that I found. There's a lot that are fairly similar, but it's very rich, like you saw. And so it took me a while when they got rid of it. I'm like, oh, now I got to find something else. But their yellow gold, the polycolor yellow gold it's the same thing. I'm pretty sure. So that's a good one. I just didn't want to have to deal with the bag. I'm going to empty that into that little jar back in the time. I usually just cut HTP on my table saw. It's just, I like cutting things on the table saw because it leaves a better cut generally. Scott, oh nice. Oh, I can't wait to see. Sweet, that's awesome, Scott. All right, Michael, have a good weekend yourself. Well, Jamie picked the gold, so obviously that blank is going to be killer. Jamie's got good taste. All right, guys, well, I think that's about it. I'm going to wrap things up here. So last minute things here. I want to remind you guys to head over to Turner's Warehouse. Oh, shoot. There it is. Get the link again, and I'm going to put the link in the show notes as well for people that are watching afterwards. Head over to turnerswarehouse.com. That's the link directly to their the info on the St. Jude's Ornament Challenge thing. Make an ornament, and you don't have to be a turner. You don't have to be a resin caster. You can literally make it out of paper. I don't think they have a category, but I guarantee they'll accept it. Make an ornament, send it down to Turner's Warehouse, and they're going to auction all those things off and raise money. All the proceeds are going to go to St. Jude. So it's always a fun thing. So if you can get in the shop and make something, have a little bit of fun making it, do it for charity. And if you make, I think the winners of each category, they're going to get some really killer prizes. And I still think that they're going to probably do drawing stuff. So anybody that enters has a chance to win a prize. So pretty awesome. But again, the due date is October 15th. And that means that it needs to have arrived in their hands by the 15th of October. And if you can get it in earlier, that's even better for them because they got to list them, take pictures, and then send them out and do all kinds of stuff. So if you give them a little extra time, they're always appreciative of that. So my video is going to be going up probably Sunday. Well, let's see here. I got to think about this. So there may be 2 videos that go up like this week. Sunday's video is probably going to be the for the other charity thing. For Scott Wishart. That's the one for MS Society. And I had to kind of I had to throw an audible on this one. I was thinking about making the blank for that on this stream. And what happened was I found out that thing's going to be over in like 2 weeks. And I was like, shoot, I got to get this thing like done. So I already did the project and I'm working on the video, and that auction. So that one's going to be auctioned on my Instagram page. That auction should go up probably early next week, middle next week at the latest. So if you want to bid on that project, which I'm not telling you what it is because you guys got to check the video out because it's a really cool one. But I got a pretty cool project together, and that project's going to be, so that'll be on Sunday, that video. And then that thing will be up. So I guess actually the auction's going to be up on Sunday because that's when the video is going up. And then the other video, the Ornament Challenge one, I think I might actually just post that in the middle of the week, next week, maybe Wednesday. That way I can get that up and get a little bit more information out to people about the Ornament Challenge. So lots of videos coming soon. Oh, Anne, thank you. I appreciate it. A last minute super chat. I appreciate that. So let's see here. I didn't miss any. Yeah, no problem, Daryl. Yeah, if you guys have a question, if anybody ever is like, oh, what molds are you using? Where'd you get those little silicone plug things that I use for the PVC pipe or clear PVC? Like questions like that, things that you see, head over to my tools I use page on my website. You know, if we're not doing a stream, I'll always put a link if I'm doing stuff, if I can get one real quick. But if you're like, oh, you're watching a video and what happened? Yeah, there we go. And you're like, oh, what is that thing? Most of that kind of stuff is on my tools I use page. So there's a link to that too. I'm just dropping links all over the place. So let's see here. I might have missed Daryl. Sorry. I don't know, Art. I'm not sure when the crinkles will come out. Probably sometime. Maybe over the holidays sometime. That would be kind of fun to make another kind of holiday project. Let's see. I think that's about it. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys all joining the fun tonight. I hope you had fun. We'll be back next Wednesday doing something on the stream. I'm not entirely sure what yet, but I'm sure I'll find something kind of fun for us to cast or possibly turn, maybe, probably not, but probably casting. So I'll see you guys all next Wednesday, 3 p.m. Pacific time, and we'll do a little bit of resin casting, and keep your eyes peeled for that video this weekend on Sunday for sure. Possibly another video on Wednesday next week. So anyway, I will see you guys on the next stream. Thanks for joining the fun and have a great weekend, guys.